Hello my friends, Resident Stevil here. Well, the Street Fighter 6 beta has gone by, and I certainly got my fill of gameplay from it. Plenty of questions, of course, that need to be answered. Questions regarding my feelings towards the game, and whether or not I intend to purchase and invest my time into it in the future. So let's just go ahead and get the most obvious and pertinent question out of the way right now. Is Street Fighter 6's gameplay better than Street Fighter 5's? After the amount of time I spent with it, I believe that I can honestly and definitively say yes. Street Fighter 6 does play better than Street Fighter 5. Despite the fact that I only spent time using one character, Ken, Street Fighter 6's version of Ken feels a lot more fun to play than 5's. It doesn't feel as stiff and lifeless and awkward. 6's version of Ken feels rather similar to the Street Fighter Alpha version of Ken. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to spend much time with any other character because the beta didn't really have a proper training mode I could use to learn another character. I couldn't get much time to do anything sitting down at one of the machines in the battle hub before someone else came around to challenge me. Now, the next question would be, is Street Fighter 6's gameplay better than or as good as Ultra Street Fighter 4's? And to that, I would have to say, not quite. If I had to put a number on it, I would say, in its current state, Street Fighter 6's gameplay is around 70 to 80% as good as USF 4's. Street Fighter 6 is not without its share of problems regarding its fighting mechanics, and God willing, Capcom will actually listen to those of us who have issues with those mechanics, and not those who want to be Capcom's living bullet shields from criticism.
Suck it, Thor's dad! Give me your head back! Oh, I see how this works. Well, what if I just... Ow! Well, maybe did you think of...
First off, and this has been the topic of the biggest controversy lately, the drive impact mechanic. I believe that the rules around this mechanic aren't very clearly defined. There are many times when I have engaged in a drive impact clash against an opponent where either I should have won or both players would have been knocked back, as demonstrated in another video, but I simply end up losing with a difference of only mere milliseconds. I also believe that drive impact unfairly gives an advantage to people who manage to trap their opponent in the corner by giving them a free wall bounce or guard break, which I've managed to do many times during the beta. It almost feels like the game is punishing people for getting trapped in the corner. Drive parry could also use a backdash escape instead of forcing people to choose between rushing forward or dealing with open frames. Getting away from the drive system mechanics now, another major issue I've had over the course of the beta is that the execution of specials and supers in the game is extremely sensitive. Most likely an unintended effect of Capcom trying to make this game accessible to casual players. There were numerous times throughout the beta where I would barely touch the D-pad and buttons of my controller, and a special or super would come out of nowhere, causing me to make many mistakes in my gameplay. Now bear in mind, I had my controls set to classic for the entire run of the beta. I can't even begin to imagine what people using modern controls went through. Other changes that I believe should be made to the game. Street Fighter 6 on PC absolutely needs ultra-wide screen resolution support. I have an ultra-wide monitor which supports 21:9 ratio, running at a resolution of 2560 by 1080. Unfortunately, the Street Fighter 6 beta would only support up to 16:9 ratio resolutions, but the RE engine that Street Fighter 6 runs off of is perfectly capable of running ultra-wide resolutions without any issue. The music for the Battle Hub simply doesn't fit with the game and needs to be changed. It needs something more exciting and energetic, not music that makes me feel like I'm drinking at a bar at 2 in the morning. While giving people the ability to randomize stages and to be able to view different stages on other ends of gameplay, I feel that since we see different stages anyway, we should have the ability to shut off stages from appearing. Of course, many of you are going to say, You just want that so you can turn off the training stage. Yes, that's exactly right. I want that so I can turn off the training stage. The stages themselves, I feel, could stand to be a bit more vibrant and colorful. It kind of seems like most of them were all just blending together with the same backdrop of grays and darkish tones. It could stand to have a bit more vibrance and energy in them. The classic games in the Game Center need to have the option to shut off the scan lines to prevent burn-in on some monitors. So, bearing all this in mind, after spending time with the game, the one question that remains: am I going to purchase Street Fighter 6? At this point, while I do feel that Street Fighter 6 has made improvements over its predecessor, I still remain undecided. The reason for that is, at this point, the only character that I'm interested in playing as in the game is Ken. I don't really feel that it is a wise decision to drop $60 on a fighting game if I'm only going to be playing as one character. If the beta had included a proper training mode without people coming by to interrupt me so that I could actually sample different available characters, maybe I would have been more inclined to make a decision, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I understand that this is merely a beta, and that many things may be subject to change with an actual release, more characters and features could be announced, and that there hasn't been a solid release date for the game announced yet. It seems, as of yet though, Capcom still hasn't broken away from some bad habits that they picked up during Ono's reign, like for example when it comes to creating new characters. Their process continues to be, take a tried and true tested idea that everybody loves, add a bunch of bullshit to it, and call it an original idea. There also still seems to be the esports mentality behind some of the ideas of Street Fighter 6, like Drive Impact, in order to create more hype moments during competitions. I believe that if Capcom truly wants Street Fighter 6 to be successful, or at the very least more successful than Street Fighter 5, they need to break away from these habits and mentalities and focus more on making the game fun. Wish I could say that I'm hoping for this to happen, but given past history, my confidence obviously isn't very high. So at this point, I'm simply in a wait and see mode. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you online.